We're here with Sonny Ozell. I'm Zach Martin. You live in England a lot of times. You spend time in England.
Good part of the year.
You know about Father Ted?
No.
Oh, it's a great comedy. It's excellent. You got to watch it.
Okay.
I'm just telling you, Father Ted, BBC4, but they haven't produced any new episodes since 1996.
Okay.
Today's the anniversary of both the prominent actors on that series who passed away. The guy who plays Father Ted and Father Jack.
Okay.
But I'm not going to spoil it for you.
Okay.
It'll be your assignment when you leave.
Very good.
Sonny Ozell, you have a new album out. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and some of the tracks? I wish I could remember the name of the album, but what happened is I was looking for the emails. We went in from the Book of Hours, which is on my desk, to talking about Byzantine art and various theological things that are just amazing. Let me just say this. You're one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, shush.
I'm not kidding you. I hope maybe you should go for a PhD somewhere.
Well,
Oxford.
It actually is something I would be fascinated to pursue. I love medieval and early Renaissance art. It's a passion that it seems at the moment to be inexhaustible. So it is possibly my second life. Who knows?
I think in a way it influences your art.
It
right?
does. It absolutely does. And that's a lovely thing. I find myself, studying these paintings and seeing iconography that is religious in nature, repeated again and again. And so that sends me to studying theology and early Christian texts, and they're beautiful stories, regardless of what you believe.
You're intellectually curious. You just want to know how all things work.
I do.
Okay. Now, this art that you've talked about has inspired one of the tracks, at least I know, that we spoke of, St. Ursula. So
yes.
Let's start off with St. Ursula. Why did you do this song?
This is a record of Americana kind of soul music, and to write a song about an obscure early proto-Christian martyr saint from Wales is pretty nerdy stuff. But
I don't think it's nerdy at all. I'm impressed.
It delighted me, and I. At the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, there is a small little panel by a Sienese painter whose name I can't recall, but it's a depiction of St. Ursula and the 11,000 virgins that she's traveling on pilgrimage with. And it's this moment right before she's martyred. And it's, I don't know, I just wanted to know more about it. And so many of these early Christian female saints are actually feminists. And so I approached her narrative from that perspective. Explain
to somebody who's listening right now why you would say that they're feminists.
Well, so many of them, seemingly the through line to their narratives is that they've been used as chattel by their husbands or by their fathers. Their father says, you must marry this pagan. And St. Ursula says, I don't want to, and hence she gets martyred. And these are women that want to make their own decisions about who they marry, about their bodies, about their futures. And when they stand firm in their beliefs, they are martyred for it.
People that tell the truth nowadays, oftentimes they become the world's enemy.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Just because they stood up for themselves. How dare you stand up for yourself?
Right, quite.
That's really interesting. So how were you able to take the story of St. Ursula and put it into a song? I'm definitely going to be playing this song a lot now.
Yeah.
Because you struck a chord with me that's really deep.
Okay,
so
right on.
How did you do that?
Well, I took what I felt were some of the critical kind of benchmark moments that make her unique, that she is in, there are these women that travel with her and they are in her care. So she's not just looking after herself. She has a responsibility to her followers, which I think is beautiful. And it's a seafaring story. So
oh, wow.
There's a little bit of that in there. And then I kind of wrap the song up with, what, let me think of the lyric. What good are all these years worn into me if not to help me see? If we can't look at everything that's come before us and not synthesize it into some kind of meaning for ourselves, then what good is it? What good are these stories if we don't take them into ourselves and make them valuable and worthwhile?
In my background as an Orthodox priest, you really can't get there unless you study the lives of these saints and learn from them and how to be pious. You can read all of these esoteric journals and all of these theological books created by men and women just like us. Not too many women, by the way, are that I know are major theologians that have written these pieces. But the example of these people, you're right, it's something that we can all emulate. It's something that we could aspire to. When you're little, you might say, when I grow up, I want to be a fireman, or I want to be a policeman, or I want to be a sailor, whatever it might be, a AAA artist, if you want to define yourself as that. But very few people would ever go, I want to grow up to be a saint.
Right.
So I think that is really, if we strived for that, maybe we'd be a little bit happier, right?
Certainly. And I should, full disclosure, I don't consider myself religious. I do consider myself a spiritual person.
That's fine.
And I find the narratives of the saints such a beautiful record of the humans that needed them, you know.
Yeah.
When I travel, particularly in Europe, and you go from tiny little town to tiny little town, each town has their own patron saint.
That's right.
And that speaks to the history of the people of that area, not necessarily even the saint themselves, but the yearnings and the longings and the needs and the hearts of those people. And I love that overlap.
And the pictures that you see tell a story, just like your music tells a story.
Yes.
Let's go over to the writing process, because you just explained a little bit about St. Ursula, but what I am really fascinated by is how you do that. Now, I know the story of Bernie Taupin and Elton John, how they would write songs together. Bernie would sit in another room or not even be in the same location, write the lyrics, hand it over to Elton, he'd make a song about it.
Yeah.
What's your process for writing your songs in this album? And by the way, tell us the name of the album.
Sure, of course. It's called Overnight Lows.
That's it.
Yeah.
Overnight Lows, like the weather. That is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
All right, good.
And, it's different. Writing is particularly if you're someone like me who collaborates with other people. It varies from project to project, but this particular project was really a lot of fun because my husband and I at the time had a small rental home in Los Angeles, and so I brought my New York band out to this cute LA house with a big pool in the backyard. We moved all of the furniture out of the living room, and we set up a band in the living room, and we just played songs, and I would come in and say, I like that, but what about if we did this? And I want a song like this, and what if we did that? And so we wrote the instrumental beds, and then I had those, and I wrote the lyrics and the melodies on top of those moments. And as I wrote lyrics, it was almost kind of like a puzzle piece. This particular tune feels like it needs to be a song about memory, and this one needs to be about driving across the country. And so those kinds of introspective moments.
I could see that. Let me just maybe put it in words that will give a visual, perhaps. So you have your palette of sound, and you're like the artist, and when Peter Max might blend these colors together, you just go, all right, and you're moving your hands around in your mind, this fits here and all that. So it's like multi-dimensional, multi-thread thinking that puts it together. I got it. All right, fantastic.
And color is definitely a part of it.
Well, all right. Well, explain how the color is part of the music.
There is this very trendy thing that people say they have called synesthesia.
Well, please explain what that is. Obviously, I'm not trendy enough.
Synesthesia is a neurological, condition where a color might have a smell. A smell might have a sound. A
Sinus,
sound might have a
I get
taste,
the Latin, yeah.
So there's, for me, sound, even letters can have a gender. There's
I get it.
And I do actually experience some of this. So there is elements of
totally understand. It's sort of like when I say it tastes like the smell.
Exactly.
That's how I can equate that. That's my senses. All right, I get it. Yeah, that's fantastic. What are some of the other tracks that we should be discovering on this album, Overnight Low?
Well, there's a couple kind of more up-tempo ones that will undoubtedly be the ones that get listened to more just because they're they're party jams.
Well, radio guys.
Yeah, exactly.
They're up late at night. They want to. But I got to tell you something. I think it's starting to shift a little bit. Here's what I've noticed in new music, and I don't know if it's by accident or if it's a conscious choice on my part, or maybe in my way, championing. I can't say the word championing. Yeah, that women. I never thought that, and maybe because I have a daughter, I never thought that women got a fair shake. I mean, it's always they hired this one to be the CEO because they can pay her less, or no women, female records back to back. I don't know who came up with that little radio rule, but I threw that out a long time ago. It's got to be really frustrating, but I just find that I don't view music like I used to. I think when I hear the story behind the songs, like if St. Ursula is what you would consider a mellow type of song, it intrigues me because of the story. Once I hear the story, once I interact with the artist, it's a completely different ballgame. I never appreciated the Moody Blues until I interviewed Justin Hayward. I'm like,
I love the Moody Blues.
Now I got it, though. See?
That was the first concert I ever went to.
Really?
I was 13 years old, Reno, Nevada.
Wow, how about that? My daughter's first concert was Styx.
Oh, cool.
When she grew up, she grew up around rock and rollers. Like one day I had to go over to part of New Jersey where Dave Mason was staying.
Oh, man, I love Dave. Oh,
Dave Mason's a great friend of mine.
Such a great record.
Listen, that Rock and Soul review with Steve Cropper and Gretchen Rhodes is amazing. It was recorded in North Carolina in a very small studio, and the acoustics and the mix is just fantastic. Anyway.
I love Dave Mason.
You do? Well, we're going to have to make that happen. Maybe you guys can do a duet. Here's another secret about Dave Mason you're probably not aware of. I don't even know if I should let this out, but I was sitting at the table December 31st. He was in Hawaii. It was before noon, so he must have been up real early in the morning. He's talking to me. He's like, Zach, the guys in Tesla have approached me, and they want to do a song with me. They want to cover one of my songs, but make me part of it. I'm like, well, we'll do it, because Tesla's really good at that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that's a possibility. I could set that up. He'd probably fly out overnight just to do it.
What's the tune? We Just Disagree. I could have that on repeat.
That's one of
been away, haven't seen you in a while. How have you been? Have you changed your style? And do you think that we've grown up differently? So good. I get it. It's a great jam.
Have a problem. I played things 1,000 times, but I can never remember the lyrics. I have to have the lyric sheet in front of me sometimes to sing it.
Sure.
And I really like my favorite song, Wish You Were Here. There's that by Pink Floyd.
So good.
Yeah, and I never get tired of Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress. Don't know why.
Okay.
Do you know how tall she is?
5'9"
and beautiful tall.
Yeah,
5'9", yeah. And then I just figured out that Liz Phair's eyes are blue because she's got a song out where she talks about her blue eyes.
Yeah,
your eyes are blue
incredible.
too. Yeah. So anyway, back to some of the tracks on your album.
Back to Pink Floyd. Roger Waters takes on the road with him these two women called Lucius. You know the ladies with the amazing wigs that sing backup vocals.
Oh, that's
for him?
cool.
I didn't know backup vocals on my record.
There you go.
There you go.
We were able to put that together.
Hey.
Serendipities at work.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so explain some of the other tracks that are on Overnight Low.
There is a straight ahead blues tune.
I like that.
That is so much so far that it's the form of it is 12 bar blues, but it's really kind of got a modern and very gritty feel to it. It's called Hammer and Nail, which is a reference to a Staples Singers song about actually the hammer and nail on the cross.
Okay, look at you.
Yeah,
wow.
But it's that my lyric is it's going to take more than a hammer and nail to keep the peace and finally tip the scales.
Well, you're right, because it takes a change of heart.
Yes, exactly.
That's right.
And so that tune is actually kind of a protest tune. It's about, for me, really engaging politically on the local level.
Very good job.
And the Lucius gals sing backup vocals on that, and it's so interesting when you bring other people in who are really good at what they do, and they say, hey, what do you want? And you say, I don't know, do what you do.
Wing it.
Yeah, exactly. And they thought of things I would have never in a million years come up with myself. So it's good fun to work with people that are so gifted and just give them.
I'm like that too. I never tell a person how to do their thing. I'm like, well, you know what you're doing. Just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I sign off on it. I'm like, fantastic. Do you know sometimes I don't even check the work. I just consider it done. I know.
Exactly.
I trust you. I'm like, I don't have to check.
That's it. Being able to, that's delegating, right? I mean, in a business
Well, it's
world.
also it's delegating, but also having faith in the individual.
Totally. And if you can't do that, then
Why engage in the first place?
And you're going to be so exhausted all the time.
You can't worry about that
No,
stuff. You know, that's a good way to be. So
don't let perfect get in the way of the good.
Exactly. Even this morning,
Yeah.
I put my shoes on the wrong feet. I got up.
You
I
did?
I look like I felt like Krusty the Clown. I start busted up laughing. My wife
great.
cannot stop laughing. I go, I put my shoes on the wrong feet. I just thought that was great. But and most people, they would get all frustrated and upset. I'm like,
Right.
I'm laughing. I can't stop
that's
laughing.
so
I'm waking
funny.
up the whole house doing that. What are some of the other tracks on the album?
Oh, gosh. There's one called The Garden, which I really love. It's kind of production-wise, it almost kind of sounds like, to me, an early Radiohead song, and I was a huge Radiohead fan, and very atmospheric, very, and I'm wrestling with memory, but then it kind of the end of it becomes really triumphant, and my producer Pete Harper had this idea of taking the kind of final chorus into this big finale with these big guitars, and it's a surprising ending to something that sort of feels like a ballad, and then out of nowhere there's like a guitar that Prince could have played, you know?
Yeah,
So
I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a complete change up. But,
Exactly.
you know, that should teach us all a lesson to just appreciate the predictable unpredictability of the moment,
Yeah.
of the music, instead of just like automatically formulating an opinion within 30 seconds. That's the challenge these days. People will listen to the radio and they won't even give you 5 seconds of your time.
I know we all have such short attention spans.
Right?
Yeah, I'm guilty of it myself. I really am.
Well, I'll tell you, here you want to like help everybody out. You got your Overnight Low. It's got some great tracks on it. We're going to play it on KKDJ and KKNH, and I'm going to make sure. What I'll do is I'll take all the tracks. You know how like artists will say, "Well, this is the lead track." I go, "Nah, just give me the whole album." And then what I do is I basically put them in the computer in one location, and all the songs rotate. So every time that your song comes up, it'll be a different track from your album.
Cool.
You know, it just makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah,
Even for you, if you were listening, I'm like, gee, I wonder what song's going to come up.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I can't
That's
believe
great.
he's playing it.
Right on.
And the only time it worked against me, because I generally do not check to make sure. I never check to see if
I know
there's
where this is
F-bombs
going.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I've gotten screwed twice.
Hey.
One time by The Who,
Ah, really?
All This Music Must Fade, the new one that they had out.
Yeah.
All right, here's my pet peeve. It starts to guilt you into playing the song, like, you're going to hate this song. I'm like, okay, where are you going with this, Roger? And at the end, Pete Townsend goes, oh, F it. And I put it out on the box, and I put it on the air. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to lose the license, and there's
Yeah.
no, like, I'm going to get in trouble. And then you
Yeah.
complain when nobody's playing it. So it peeved me. I edited it out.
Yeah.
All right, put it up there.
I have one tune, and it is my lead track, and there is an SH bomb.
I don't see how have we progressed to where those type of words really are that much of a big deal?
Well, you know,
I don't use that in my house.
Maybe
We say poop.
right, exactly. It's all good. I respect people's. So I have flagged that track with a little E. So but you'll know.
A little poo emoji.
Now it's a little E for explicit.
You should have a little poo emoji, little poo word in there. All right, that's great.
But anyway.
So that's my approach on all of that stuff, because I like to make it really interesting, and I don't follow the rule books like all the other radio people.
Awesome.
I got to the point where, you know what? I'm buying my own radio station. So I have one out in Fresno. I'll do what I want.
I was born in Fresno.
There you go. 102.3 KKDJ.
No kidding.
Just went on the air in January. I play NASCAR for sports.
Okay.
I play Wicked Cool Future Classics. So when, Jody said, will you I'm like, yeah, I'll play it, of course.
Cool.
Right on there. I've got records that most people would be afraid to play because they're so worried and so concerned about ratings. I'm like, screw the ratings. Screw what everybody else has to say. I don't care. I'm going to do it my way, the way I've always wanted to do it. So I think that radio needs to be the playground for the artist. I think that radio has to be connected to the community. I think that radio has to help local businesses survive.
Absolutely.
I think that radio should provide a little bit of a conscience that tells people, hey, listen, there are better ways to live. And this is where I was going to get with this, because it's about happiness. And, you're reflecting and you're thinking about your life experiences and you're looking at the art and you put it in your music and you're doing something with your life. It doesn't matter who you're married to, where you're born, how much money you have. You have to make a choice at one point to do something with your life.
Yep.
Here's the problem with people that I see it. This is like on a pastoral concern. I'm just saying it out of concern and love for people. Stop going on social media, getting into fights with people, and celebrities, really, control your tweets. Because
tell me about it.
Your tweets are only going to make you lose your job, lose your money. You control your anger, manage aggression. I mean, you know this because you were going around ancient Europe and you're seeing all of that before your eyes. You're watching the Saints, right? So control your anger, manage your aggression. Don't send nasty little pithy emails out to people because you don't understand the context of the first email that you got. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. People on Facebook or in social media, they're not going to show you horrible pictures of what you look like when you first wake up in the morning, or if you have food poisoning, here you are in a hospital. Although my wife took a picture of that and posted it on her account because she thought it was funny. But I stay off of it. I don't even engage it. I have pages because I have to. I guess they tell business. Us, business. We got to be on to it. I let somebody else handle that. I will not engage there. It's not the place to win the argument. It's not to one-up people. It's not going to make you feel any better about yourself. And you're not going to change anybody's political perspective because of your post. Now, what you're doing is a lot smarter, because you're telling people to get engaged on a local level, because the local level is really the highest form of government. This is going to affect you and your community. So that's what radio should be doing. That's what we all should be doing.
Go to a city council meeting.
Right.
Get to know your constituents.
Right, and don't be so angry because someone doesn't agree with you. Just like, okay, I respect your opinion. Here's what...
We all want better lives for our kids.
Everybody wants a better life. Everybody wants a cleaner planet. It's just that, we disagree on how to achieve that. But, at one point we got to go, listen, stop this labeling stuff. Let's work together and just treat people like you want to be treated. Right? So there's a... And having said that, what would you like to add to that? Because generally, the men do all the talking with this kind of stuff. So.
Oh, well, I mean, I do think more women in government, and that's happening before our eyes, that can only be a good thing. Because, who better to have best interests at heart than our moms, right?
Yeah. I would agree. Or good fathers, good mothers, good fathers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, women are 50% of the population. So it just seems as though better representation is a good thing.
Yeah. I think we got to get out of the mindset of voting for someone or supporting someone because of their sexual identity, male, female, whatever it might be. How about we just support someone because they're a person?
Certainly.
No skin color, no gender, nothing. Just because they're a person and you can understand and appreciate their values, and they're more like you than not like you, and they see things in a different way, or there's real leadership skills there.
Yep.
So and the lives of the saints that you said, they give us examples of how to do all of that, and then I'll leave it with this final thing, and this is probably the best advice I can give to anybody. So if you were my kid, I would tell you this. Focus on who you are. Be who you are, and don't worry about what you do for a living. Because when you're no longer able to do what you do for a living, no matter what that is, you're left with yourself, and that's who you are. So worry about who you are. And any job is great. If you need to earn some money, there's no job that's beneath you. And you could always do better for yourself. But you're not going to do better complaining about it. You got to move forward. So I'm sure when you did this album, Overnight Low, you discovered who you were in the process, maybe a little bit more. I mean, you seem like you know who you are. As soon as I meet you, I definitely know who you are. You're very interesting, very smart, very talented. Was there something that surprised you about yourself and who you are in this project? I've never asked anybody else's question as part of an interview.
In order to really achieve the kind of quality in the actual music that I knew I wanted, I ended up confronting my own fears of inadequacy in a way that could at times be pretty painful. And I realized that my fears and my insecurities were coming only from me and had nothing to do with anybody else. So I guess that really ties into what you just said, that we just need to, get to know ourselves. And the process and the journey of self-knowledge, I mean, I'm looking forward to it never stopping because I expect it won't.